Good afternoon, everybody. Nice lunch. Thank you to the hotel. And we're probably going to get a few more stragglers, I think, coming in over the next 2 or 3 minutes, but they'll miss the start. Well, unlucky for them. So, nice to be here. We have 3 great panelists. We're going to dedicate the time to listen to what these guys have got to say. And hopefully some good thought-provoking thoughts, as well as learning a little bit about what they do in their particular business. So Alex, Peter, Milan, welcome. Would you mind a couple of minutes each on who you are and what you do, just for the benefit of everybody, please? Yeah. Go ahead, Milan. Yeah.
I'm Milan. I work for Cerberus, which is an American private equity firm. Before that, I worked 4 years for Aroundtown, which is a German commercial real estate investment company. And before I joined the dark side, I was on the bright side, 25 years for Hilton on the operator side. And when I realized that it's the brand who have everything to say and I was in operations, or the owners, I actually decided to go on the owner side.
Thank you, Milan. Peter?
I'm representing IREMIS, the youngest company here in the panel. We have been founded in April 2022 by Jochen Schäfer-Sören and Josh Short, which may be names that you're more familiar than with mine, as they were much longer in the industry for. I'm heading the hotel and leisure division for them, and we are a fund manager that is focusing on niche real estate classes, and as of our background, we started with hotels. And for that, we have, in June this year, raised our first institutional fund, and we're looking at that for leased hotels across the Eurozone, so a little bit different than the two next to me.
Yeah, welcome, Peter. Good stuff. Alex, to you, please.
Yep. Global Asset Solution was founded about 16 years ago in Singapore. We specialize in asset management in luxury segment. We started with a nice property called the Four Seasons in Bora Bora. We still work in Asia with the Rosewood in Phnom Penh, which was voted the best city hotel this year in Asia. We worked since, let's say, 8 years ago. We started in Europe. We have in total last year 50 hotels. We just started a new portfolio of 9 other hotels in the Middle East in July.
Perfect. Thanks, Alex. So a lot of experience here, and we want to learn a little bit about what you guys are up to today, what you're looking for to the future. So our session this afternoon is called Are Asset Managers Using Innovation to Drive Additional Revenue or Improve Operating Efficiencies? And then also, how do new products and concept of utilizing space fit in? So 2 slightly sort of separate subjects that'll probably all begin to mix and become part of a broader discussion. So to start us off, gents, this is a yes or no answer, okay, to each one of you. So do you consider hospitality, the industry, as being innovative or not? Milan?
Not at all.
Okay. Peter?
Yes.
Okay. Alex?
No.
Oh, okay. So we've got innovation on the agenda. We want to talk about innovation, and 2 out of 3 of you say we're not very innovative. Why? Milan, start us off. Come on.
Where shall I start?
Why do you say no?
I think it's a very reactive industry. So you have it's the world's biggest industry, right? The travel and hospitality world, and yet most of the innovations are brought from the outside or are caused by companies that can be seen as hurdles for the established brands, operators, owners. And in order to overcome this, they react rather than act before.
Okay.
And I think there's many examples for that, right?
Okay. So you're suggesting we're retro-looking rather than forward-looking as an industry? Interesting. Peter, you said yes.
Yeah, I mean, while we are retro-looking, I agree with that. There's still quite some change that is happening over the years. I mean, if you look at the hotel, how it was built and composed 30 years ago, and if you look at something that you build today, that's entirely different. I think that there are brands and companies that are owners that are embracing change and implementing change, also when it comes to construction and refurbishment and all of that. So yes, I can live with the fact that we are less innovative than the robotics or the automated intelligence industry, but there is change and hope for us still.
Okay, Alex, you were yes, weren't you?
Yes, our partners that work with us, I think we lost an opportunity when the OTA came in. And I think we gave away our room supply to those OTAs. Nowadays, the advantage of the operators is, and it's scary to say this from an asset management point of view, but is the loyalty program. I think they're sitting on a massive database, very interesting database, but we're not doing anything with that. Okay. If you look, can I just, if you look at the value of Airbnb, for example, and how they change the market so quickly, it's much higher than all the other operators. I think with the database that we have, that the operator have, we can transform it, but we need to know how to use it.
Okay.
And instead of adding flags to grow, maybe they should look at their business model and focus more on the data bank than on adding flags.
And we'll come and talk a little bit about that, because that's an interesting point that you make. We use technology at the moment as an industry to collect a lot of data, but you're saying, actually, how do we use that data? Yeah. Okay, so innovation comes in many different forms. We've spoken about technology. We will talk a little bit about, I guess, operational innovation. Milan, can you give me an example? I know you're saying we're not particularly innovative, but in your businesses, you must be innovative, right? Can you give us an example that you're happy to share with the audience as to what you've done that's new, that's different, that's driven revenue, or that's driven efficiency, profit?
I think the big innovation I have to disappoint myself and everybody else, I haven't done, right? I think what we are doing is with AI, we're trying to do space planning nowadays, which gives you a bit more than he prefers this, she prefers that, the operator prefers this, but just to look what would be the best use. So you can actually use AI for that now. I think also in the waste management, there's a fantastic company which has a huge impact on waste management, and is actually rolled out at the moment in a couple of big brands. And one thing, and this has nothing to do with innovation, but I was with my family in Greece in a beautiful resort, I won't mention it, and we stayed there for 10 days. When I checked out, I had 17 pages of bill. And I could go through everything, and there was room, resort fee, breakfast, I don't know, lunch, I don't know what my kids all ordered. And there was no summary of it, right? And we're struggling as a company, and I'm talking about a big international brand, we're struggling to give guests, in general, a bill which they understand. Now, I'm from the industry, and I didn't understand anything from that bill. So innovation would already be having a seamless process from your reservation to your bill, that it's really feasible for you.
So maybe we need to fix those things before we think about being too creative looking forward. Get the basics right.
What was the last big, straight to room was the last big thing, right? That you can open your room with your phone or with a code. How many hotels do that? How many hotels seriously do that now? Walk the talk that you can actually do it. How many hotels, when you go in, you have Wi-Fi and you don't have to put in a code, or you don't have to put in your name or your room number. When you arrive early, you don't have your name, or you have your name but not your room number yet. I mean, seriously, how is it? So we really need to challenge this, and I think if we don't address it, it will not change.
Now, Peter, you wanted to come in here, go on.
No, I completely agree with you, but I think that the challenge is that a lot of the large operators, they struggle with the complex systems and the complex issues, that it takes a lot of time, and innovation should be transformed much quicker. I completely agree that if you look at smaller operators, some of them actually put it in place, what you're suggesting.
Peter, sorry, Alex, just one point, because you're new, you're the new kid on the block, right? You have a fund that's good to go, you're looking for assets. So you have the ability to start almost with a level playing field to say, we have no assets, therefore we have no, I guess, technologies that are legacy or whatever. What are you looking for in terms of innovation as you start to acquire, as you start to build?
I mean, we're still looking to acquire existing hotels. So
Yeah.
you don't start with a plain level field if you have an existing hotel. You can do a refurb or you can do some restructuring with that, that's clear. And I would definitely, in any restructuring or any refurbishment we're doing, look to actually reduce cost, make data measurable also within rooms. I mean, there's great technology available to actually measure the flow of people, the consumption of water or of energy, the use of it, that could help to overall profile guests and create a much better experience while saving cost and resources, for example.
Yeah. Alex, you've got a lot of assets now under ownership, under management. What's your take on sort of innovation to drive revenue or to drive efficiencies?
I think over the past 20 years, we came up with lots of good ideas for hotels. And we fell on many ideas, especially, and we need to differentiate, I think, luxury and the rest of hospitality as well. Look at the iPad in luxuries. Every operator wanted an iPad in a room. What's the need of an iPad? We all have an iPad in our pocket. We don't need this. We look at technology that is put in some rooms, and it's impossible to understand how to switch off the lights before you go to bed. Yeah. I had my mom at 80 staying in a hotel, and she's like, I don't even know how to switch on the shower because there was a button. I think we need to focus on technology. It's very important, but we need the human side of it. And who is our customer? A young kid will be more ready, more savvy, and will know how to use all this. But we need to make sure that we adapt our product and we have the range and the choice for our customer. Service is the key of our business, and we often forget about this. Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to add on AI, I think it's a fantastic opportunity if we use it right. I give you an example. If hotels send me an email before I come to with some recommendation where to book in the city, spa, availability and stuff like this, but really focus on what I need, this is a good use of AI. Or, for example, if you have a resort with a golf and somebody canceled a round, well, this person, all the guests will receive an email alert. It's like, hey, if you want to go ahead. Okay. I think we can use it well, but we shouldn't forget to be the human aspect of it and our customer.
So I guess investments in technology, innovation, need to produce a return, Milan, right? You look for a return on those sort of investments? In whatever form?
It's one part of the puzzle, right? So I wouldn't single it out. ESG is one part of the puzzle, right? You single it out. Now we have our investment committees in the US, and we heard before that in the US you don't need to do anything. So, you know, for us, but then you need to make your case, and you know, sometimes you can also put it in another part, which makes it easier to digest. But I think a project is different parts put together, and AI or technology is a better word. AI is very limited still. Yeah. But technology is a good way to enhance customer service if you do it right and not decrease it, right? Decrease costs and make yourself be geared up in innovation. Okay. And there's some very good examples, and we talked before. I think Numa has really done a great job in this on the technology part. Now I just learned before this panel that it's actually another company, not Numa, who does it. But that doesn't surprise me, right? There's always experts behind. But I really like that.
Okay. So just on that point, because we're reaching out, it seems to suggest on a couple of occasions that you're looking to partners to produce innovation, whether it's technological innovation, to come up with ideas. Do you look outside of your organizations to do that? Do you look outside of the brands? Are independent, I guess, firms more innovative, and where you go to look for the next level of innovation?
Yeah, give you one concrete example. I received a call from one of my team members. We have in our hotel a very high lobby, an atrium that is so huge it's impossible to paint the atrium.
Yeah.
So we're looking at drones to paint,
Okay.
and it's actually existing. So there is technology there, and we wish this idea came from the operator, not from us, but this is a collaborative approach. That's usually how we work with the operator.
Okay, so innovation often enough is with startups, particularly around technology. Yeah, and you're happy to talk to those sort of people together, your ideas. Peter, a question for you. Sort of, we've spoken a little bit about through the morning about the pandemic, pre and post, and it's evident what it's done to the results. But in terms of innovation, do you think it's accelerated innovation, decelerated innovation?
Somebody before today said that it accelerated trends that had been existing before, and I would subscribe to that statement. I wouldn't say that the pandemic accelerated any innovations as such. There have been trends, named, for example, service departments, longer stay, accommodation that was growing. That definitely accelerated the growth of that sector, and I think that's good, and there's definitely potential in that. But I wouldn't say that it created innovation as such.
Okay. Milan, view on that?
No, I agree. I think it was an accelerator to certain things. I think we all cook and bake better now after the pandemic because we couldn't go to restaurants. So we had to do something for those who didn't like to cook and bake. And certain trends were accelerated, but the huge boom, I mean, just imagine the meeting segment went back to where it is now. We're meeting face to face. We're having coffee breaks. We're having lunches. Pre-pandemic, now there has nothing that has been changed. I mean, and you know, some people said to us, people will never meet up like this. So no, we're just humans, and we continue with our routine until there's a disruptor coming and telling us actually you can do it differently, right? And we thought Teams and Zoom would be the disruptors, but they're added on. So maybe a smaller meeting, you don't have face-to-face, you have it via Teams or via Zoom, via whoever. But these big meetings, we still want to do it. We still want to feel, smell, touch, embrace being human.
Alex, you mentioned something a little bit earlier around luxury hotels perhaps approaching innovation in a different way than perhaps the budget sector. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, if we look at statistic that's coming out regarding guest services, we can see that post-COVID, especially in a 3-star level, service is going down according to our customer. You know, there is all those platforms that give you feedback on your customer. So that's kind of a concern. In the upper luxury, we lost many talents that went to other industry, and that's also a big concern that we have. Technology can help to be more productive and everything, but when it comes to luxury, you need the human interaction, and this would never change. So it's a challenging couple of years post-COVID in the luxury sector to get back and to keep the know-how on how to deliver good service.
Peter, view on that?
I agree that it's very different what the innovation post-COVID for the different segments did, and I would argue that it's more on personalization of service in the luxury segment, while it's on cost-cutting in the budget and mid-segment. I have no problem to self-check myself in and out of a property. I'm rather probably quicker, and it goes easier, so I appreciate that. But I don't think that that's an innovation that came out of the pandemic necessarily. There was a trend that was evolving before as well.
Okay. And so Milan, looking forward, I guess, you will have your business plans, you'll have profit targets, expectations. Can you get to meet those without using innovation? How far out do you plan for that? Are you 3-5 years in terms of bringing innovation, delivering results?
I wish 3-5 years, then I would be a consultant and sell my vision to others. No. What we're doing, we're faced now with an environment, economic environment with high interest rates, right? the deal flow this year, and at the end of the year we all will know was the lowest ever, and we can say, yeah, there's some good deals left, right, and center, but it's nothing. I mean, it's literally nothing. What we learn from it is we underwrite a lot, so we get a lot of information. But looking forward, I think what we are looking differently now is, as we have a lifespan of around 4 years for our assets, 4 to 5 years, is who is the potential buyer? And if it's an institutional buyer, what innovation, what do they expect in order to be interested in this asset class? And it can be ESG, it can be technology, but really to look forward to that. And I think that is something which before we would say, yeah, these are the potential buyers, and we do our thing. Well, now we say, okay, we need to tailor make certain things in the redevelopment or refurbishment of the assets towards that target group.
I just want to add something on this. I think one thing that we need to consider with technology, it's great, it's a fantastic tool, but in reality, we always need to think of the operation. The implementation of some technology, the cost of it, the time is huge. And sometimes we implement softwares that the operator asks us to do, but we're not using it.
Okay.
So that's something to consider as well. Also,
So I guess that's a bit of a message out towards the brands, right, Alex?
Yeah,
You want
yeah.
technologies that are workable, that are efficient. That
the owner doesn't have enough say on the choice of the software. It's up to the operator to deal with this, great, but does it actually deliver? Also, it's like relying too much on technology, and let's take, we're speaking about the distribution systems.
Right.
Great, okay, you plug in your hotel, people come. Don't forget, before we used to create this demand, we had to generate it ourselves. Now you ask a sales and marketing director, we need to create events. It's like, no, we wait that the demand comes. No, hospitality doesn't work like this if you want to be the market leader. And that's something that we tend to forget, especially post-COVID.
Okay, so not the first time that Alex has referred us back to some of the core principles of good hotel keeping, right? And ensuring that you get those right, and you know who your customers are, you know how you can reach them, etc. Milan, anything to add to that? I mean, hospitality, the clue is in the name, right, I guess?
And the clue is also in a good mix of choosing the right approach for the right owner, and as an owner, choosing the right brand or operator for yourself. And I think, and forgive me if I'm a bit outspoken on this, many big brands have become complacent, right? A bit, we grow, there's a lot of interest. How shall I say, the sky is the limit, and in the execution of their promises, they are not so good, and we just see the world has changed in the last 20 years so fast.
Okay.
But franchise contracts, management contracts, are still basically the same.
Okay.
Right?
All right. And we're not going to go too deep into that today, but there's another little message there for some of the brands that are going to be here today. I guess, Peter, let's talk a little bit about space now. And utilization of space. As I mentioned earlier, you're about to embark upon your first investments. You're looking for hotels. But of all of the sort of panelists that we have, you have the ability to perhaps choose space from, again, sort of a different perspective. You're not inheriting anything. Are you looking to get a return on investment on all of the spaces, all of that square meterage within this hotel that you're going to buy, this resort you're going to buy? How are you going to do that?
Well, as in the past, obviously we're going to look at a return overall for a hotel. First of all, that's, I think, very much important. But then there's structuring to do within a hotel. You can take components or spaces out of the operations of a hotel and perhaps do something external, whether that's a restaurant operator or whether there is some serviced office in your component. That may all work very well, depending on the asset itself. Whether you can create a return on all spaces today, I think, is a much different question. And if you look at some German developers, they will clearly tell you that there is no way to make a return on the towers they were building in their heads 3 years ago. So we are in a very difficult situation today, where the cost of capital has been changing so quickly that the product and the profitability of the assets needs to keep up, and that's also why we don't see any transactions at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Alex, in terms of space utilization, can you give us a couple of examples of space which you're using now in a different way in your assets than you were 5 years ago, or that you're planning to do?
Yeah, I think the hotel industry now focus more on the local market. They understood that you know, F&B outlets, and we rely on our local market. I think it's really important. I took a couple of a nice example. In Barcelona, for example, the hotel has a bakery in lobby, and it's really focused on local market, and it's really nice quality. So it's really using the space to the maximum. But I have an operator, a luxury, in one of the capital in Europe, and the location fantastic. The lobby is not full. There is no activation. Put a pop-up with caviar, put a pop-up with champagne. It's really important to activate this thing, and sometimes you need to make them realize, okay, listen, the price of square footage here, it's prime, so let's make it happen. Same thing with restaurants. You know, we tend to blame, and I said we, asset manager, operator, owners, that we don't have enough staff and everything, so we don't keep our restaurants open. Well, yeah, but let's figure out, we have a restaurant, let's keep it open, let's make sure that the lunch we serve what our client want, and always focus on our customer. The money will come if you focus on your customer.
So Milan, just on that a little bit, available space in your businesses, do you drive where you want to go with the usage of that, or do your brands participate in that discussion? How do you get to a decision as to what to do with 100 square meters?
Well, at the end of the day, you need to communicate with the brands, right? I think that's crucial. And if you feel, and I think we had, in my former job, we had a great idea with a huge lobby in a hotel in a city, and the plan was to make it an Italy food market, right? And everybody was excited about this idea. And we had a lease ready for signature. It didn't happen for whatever reasons. We don't need to get into that. But I say you need to get them on board, right? If we drove it, but you need to get the brand on board in order to say yes, that's actually what we want. And then comes all the the things. But this is a different entity. Where do they change? I mean, things like changing rooms and where do they eat and so forth. How do we calculate the management fee on that, or the franchise fee on that, so all of that.
So you like the idea of owner, asset manager driving the strategy for a particular space supported by your operator?
Yeah, we're not passengers.
Yeah, okay. And in terms of design, I guess, Peter, to you, how has sort of, I guess, architecture and design changed over the years so that space is maximized? Do you think, I mean, historically, it may have been that vanity projects were undertaken by architects or designers. How do you ensure there's a check and balance so they squeeze out that euro per square meter that you need on that investment?
So we're not passengers either. Even though we sign leases, we are heavily involved in what we do with our assets, and we have always been in the past. Take the M Gallery Inc. in Amsterdam that we completely refurbished. There's a funny story to this. The designer came up with a baldachin bed in the middle of a room, even though they were very small rooms. And the crux of it was not to place it on one of the walls so that it would stand out in the middle of a room. Well, we decided that it would only appeal to a very small minority of our guests, and we decided not to do it. So there is the involvement that you can do and you need to do to cater to the guests and what they want, what you were just referring to. And overall, I mean, in terms of trends, I would say that we're still following a trend that rooms are getting smaller while the action is happening in the lobby, and we really need to activate that space to make it lively and have people exchange and deal with whatever they are there to deal with in our lobbies and our public spaces.
Yeah, Alex?
Yeah, I want to say something regarding CapEx and investment in hotel. I think in Europe, in particular in Europe, we work, as I said, a little bit everywhere. We tend to fix things and not recreate things. A fresh paint and I don't need a renovation. No, in a restaurant, you need to change the look and feel every 8 years. That's what I say to the owners. You know, asset managers, you know, we work for the hotel. That's our priority. I'm not working for the owner, even if it's the owner that's paying me. I'm not working for the operator, but I'm working for the hotel. And when the message is clear, I can defend, and I will always defend operators for making a case of renovation, of improvement, because you cannot make miracles. I mean, those guys who work, who are dedicated, spend that time with their guests, they're the guys who know the best what to do with their assets. And we often forget to ask them. That's something really important. I always say also, is like the service needs to come from the top, not from your guy, the barista. And that's why it's important to defend them.
Thank you. Open question to any of you guys. What are the best examples that you've seen, perhaps, in terms of space utilization within hotels recently? What did you really see that you thought, that's terrific, different?
A zip line all the way down to my lobby. And
a seaplane to your lobby? Do you want to explain a little bit more?
Yeah, in Oman, in Kasab, so the northern part of Oman, we have a hotel, and they built the longest zip line, and it's actually make it the news, and people from Dubai, Ras Al Khaimah, they're all coming over there just to do the zip line, and there we go, you get to the room.
Interesting. Milan?
Well, I actually like hotels where you come into the action, and Penta was one of the first ones doing the check-in at the bar, right? I think Ruby does the same. So I like that. I like that just you don't have separate sections. It's just you come in and then everybody stays for a drink, right? Because it feels lively. On my age, if you're in a Ruby hotel, then of course you stay because everybody else is half your age. So it's just like, whoa, it's a different experience. But I'm just saying this I find very well used. You don't waste space on a lobby, and you actually create revenue and experience.
Yeah, it sets the tone for the stay. Yeah, Peter, any view on that? Any?
Nothing as extreme as the zip line, I'm afraid, but I've been in a room very recently that worked very well as a meeting room and as a bedroom. Yeah. And I thought that is also something that could be helpful going forward, particularly with extended working from anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Which is interesting, isn't it? Because we've always had those type of bedrooms that have also doubled up as meeting space, but rarely have they worked well.
Yeah, and I've seen a good one recently. One that really felt like a meeting room while it was a meeting room, and a bedroom while it was.
Can you share where? Is that or you?
It was in actually next to Amsterdam, outside of Amsterdam, in the Netherlands.
Okay, all right. I'm just conscious of time. We've got about 6 minutes left. We're going to perhaps open up actually to a couple of questions. Let's do a couple of questions, folks. Are there any questions out there for any of our panelists? Please, go ahead, gentleman in the middle there.
Question to you, gentlemen, because many times I'm facing... Thank you. Many times as a supplier of technology, I'm facing challenge with how to position the cost of technology, whether it's CapEx or OpEx. Because these days you have cloud solutions, you have also solutions which are paid in the beginning when the investment is done. So my question is whether you work with operators or you work from your side on a process that will facilitate that to some extent.
Anybody?
Alex?
The answer is it depends. Which kind of technology?
About any type of technology that is cloud-based. Normally when you implement it, that improves operations in most cases. So when we talk about technology, the major two elements that you, Marcus, mentioned is improvement of operations, but also improvement of guest experience. And I totally agree with that. These are two elements that we want to facilitate with technology.
So for me, it would be OpEx. And, you know, the technology in the rooms, for example, new air condition, you know, there is a new system now that taking into consideration the body heat and the number of people in the room, this would be more a proper CapEx.
And these are exactly discussions that I have to face in the beginning of projects when we have, when we present new solutions, and then the discussion between investor and operator starts, who should bear the cost. So this is the challenge that I'm having from technology.
And are you moving your cost base towards a P&L item, or are you still having your cost base as a capital item? Have you decided? Can you move it one way or the other, or?
That's something up to investor and operator to agree on, because we can only present what is there. We can present benefits. These are benefits mainly in context of operations, but there is still some cost in context of CapEx.
Okay.
And that's the biggest challenge, because that's something that has to be agreed on.
You can split it, right?
Side.
You can have a part of it, which is the
Yeah.
tangible part, which you put in CapEx, and the non-tangible part you put in OpEx. And normally, you will find a solution. Yes, there will be struggles behind the scenes sometimes, but that's fine. It's part of the game.
And I think generally as an operator, correct me if I'm wrong, but and as asset managers, we would prefer generally small P&L items rather than large CapEx pieces. And I guess as we go towards cloud-based systems generally, that is the trend, rightly or wrongly. Yeah.
That I wouldn't say in all cases, for us at least it is. If we know upfront what it is, right, and when let's put it on the technology, then we will put it in the initial investment, and then rather have a higher NOI for the operation.
Yeah,
For new technology.
for new technology.
Same here as well.
You agree, Peter?
Yeah, would do it in the beginning once and do it right, rather than trying to do it throughout.
Okay.
So you would rather put it in OpEx costs, right?
No,
CapEx.
they're saying CapEx, particularly for new projects.
I mean, it depends.
Because
You know,
the cost
if you're talking
saving,
about-
the
if you're
cost
talking
saving
about the
happens on
cloud
OpEx
solution, which-
side. So
If you're talking about the cloud solution that's then paid on a monthly basis, that's out of our P&L, that goes to the operator, that's clear. But if it's the installation of meters and the ventilation system, that's the CapEx bit in the beginning, and that has a split that we agree with the operator in terms of budget.
meters is good example, because let's go back to IoT maybe. The term is well known to you guys. So in that particular example, you would have additional cost on investor side that is justified. We would be able to present how much cost saving or return on investment can be done with that product, but then investor is having, or general construction company that is doing the project, is having specific budget, and that budget is being increased by the amount of money. And this is where technology is facing challenge, because then investor is trying to push it on operator, because the benefit is actually on operator side. Okay. And that's actually the discussion that we're having right now, that I'm having very often.
Yeah, but that depends on so many angles. You know, that depends on the operating contract, that depends on the
Exactly.
set out. But that's not something we can
so back
solve
to my,
as a general comment.
Back to my initial question, do you work with as asset manager with operators to some kind of process that will improve that?
Well, I think what we're saying, and what the panelists are saying, is it depends on the circumstances. One owner will see it slightly different than the next owner, and ditto with the operators. So you'll still continue, from what we can hear and gather, to have those debates as you go out and look to sell your product. Yeah, good.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Do we have another question, folks? We've got, I think, 1 or 2 minutes left. Time for one more question from... We've got to have a question out there. Lionel, question from you? Mr. Benjamin? Can we give Lionel a microphone, please? Thank you, Lionel.
It's very interesting, I think, to hear you talk about innovation or lack of innovation and brands. I think the one thing that many of us in this room will agree is that the brands drive it, and we need their support. We pay enough in fees. And so to Milan's comments about being controversial, totally agree with you. The brands have really got to step up to the plate and help us. And I'm wondering whether the brands have shown you any of that innovation across the many hotels that you guys have owned, managed.
Okay.
See, for our business model, we like that we have a partner who has a small percentage in the deal, so they get a promote. And that means also a franchise contract most of the times. And then you actually don't have this problem, is it CapEx or OpEx, because they're in the boat with you. If you have a management contract with a brand, yeah, I mean, I worked 25 years for a brand, right? So I know exactly the ins and outs, and still sometimes they try to fool me, right? And I understand it because it's their purpose, right? They need to sell their brands and they need to sell their services. Luckily, most of them have understood that franchise is the way forward. Not in all markets, but in most markets.
Okay, Alex?
Just
Yeah.
to close the loop
couple of
on
thoughts.
this, look at AI. Honestly, we have announcements from tour operators like Expedia. We have, I just looked, TripAdvisor also announced AI. Airbnb announced AI. None of my operators announced AI. And we're missing,
Okay.
again,
So
this
to
opportunity.
Lionel's point, we need a little bit more innovation, creativity coming from the operators. Peter, last thought from you, and then we're out of time. Anything to add on that?
I appreciate when operators actually aware of their weaknesses and they're open to discussions to find ways to mitigate them. And that's what I would encourage all of them to do.
There we go. Okay. All right, folks, that's it. I think we're out of time. Thanks very much to the three chaps on the panel. Hope you've enjoyed that.